Shalom Chaverim. Today, parashat Tetzaveh, and we are also on the Friday right before Purim. So we're going to talk about both, and we're going to do it together with some Mishnah and with the Rav Kook. Okay, so let's begin right away with the Mishnah, which says, וכל מי שאינו לא חיגר ולא סומא ולא פיסח ועושה עצמו כאחד מהם, אינו מת מן הזקנה עד שיהיה כאחד מהם. Okay, so what it means is anyone who is not lame or blind but pretends to be as one of these, he will not die of old age before he actually becomes one. So, what do we have here? We have basically a warning of the Mishnah: do not pretend to be disabled, do not pretend to be disadvantaged, if you will. And it comes in the form of a warning. You may actually end up as one. And don't pretend to be disabled for purposes of gain. Which is very important, right? So, and don't pretend to, if you're asking people for money, to be blind if you're not blind, etc., etc. And so I brought here before several times the Rabbi Simcha Bonim of Pshische, who basically was a kind of an 18th, 19th century rabbi, a Hasidic rabbi who has a lot of really interesting stories, and a lot of his teachings come through folk stories. And he has a book that is called Simchat Israel, and in that book he actually brings this Mishnah that I just told, and he asks a really funny question. Okay, it says that the rabbi hears this Mishnah and asks, so what does it mean for someone who pretends to be a rabbi? Okay, so before we attempt to answer this question, let's go to our Torah portion this week, which is Tetzaveh. Okay, so Tetzaveh opens with a verse that goes like this: ואתה תצווה את בני ישראל ויקחו אליך שמן זית זך כתית למאור להעלות נר תמיד. Right? Translates to, commands the Israelites to bring you clear oil of pressed olives for the light, so that the lamps may be kept burning. It's really interesting. My colleague Rabbi Golden and I just had a discussion before recording this, that really the meaning of the ner tamid, because it says leha'alot ner tamid. So do we leha'alot, to raise the lamp that will burn always? So do we have to raise it always, meaning always light it up, or does the candle or the lamp burn always? So it's a really interesting question, but if you look at commentary, you get both. But today, for the sake of this column, we're going to talk about the ner tamid as the eternal flame. The eternal flame is a flame that always keeps burning. And the eternal flame really is very central concept and cultural concept to us even today in 2026. You can see that any synagogue have a light, an eternal light in it that's supposed to be burning constantly or lit constantly to symbolize that ner tamid, that eternal flame. And that flame is the divine dwelling, right? We talked about it before. It's the light of the Shekhinah, but it's also very symbolic. It's symbolic of the light of our people that keeps burning, especially in times of utmost darkness. And as always, Hasidic interpretations of the ner tamid goes inward and to our soul. And Hasidic interpretations choose to view the eternal flames as our souls, our inner light. And I actually love it. I actually really, really like it because it has a very uplifting message that we have within us light that constantly burns. And even when sometimes we feel great darkness, it's still there and it's still burning. And it's all about being hidden for us and for us to discover. But I think that there's something very positive about the concept that it's always there. No one never really shuts off. So then it begs the question, so how can we find a way to our inner light, especially in times when it's hidden from us? And so for that, I'd like to bring in Proverbs for really beautiful poetic verse that goes like this. Ner Adonai nishmat Adam chofes kol chadrei vaten, which means the human spirit is the lamp of God that sheds light on one's inner being. And it's even more poetic in Hebrew because the words chadrei vaten, if I really literally translate it, it's the rooms or the spaces of your vaten is belly, right? It's very graphic, but it's very, very nice. And Rashi looks at this a pasuk from Proverbs, and he explains that what is Ner Adonai Nishmat Adam, the human spirit is the lamp of God, is that the soul, our soul, is like a lamp, is like a candle that lights our inner self so God can see what we're trying to hide from ourselves. This is actually Rashi's interpretation. Think about it as like the ner that you use to find chametz in Pesach. You go to the darkest places and you shed light to see if there's anything. So that's the light that's available for God to our insides. So what is we are hiding from ourselves is revealed to God. And actually the word chofes comes from the root of lechapes, which is the root for to search, right? And this is what Rashi built his argument about of the searching, right? Searching us. But chofes, or if you move the dot to the right, could also mean chofesh. It could also mean freedom. And so how can our eternal flames set us free? And for that, I want to bring the Rav Kook. And the Rav Kook has a beautiful teaching exactly about that. I just wanted to stop for a second and show you the teaching that I'm going to share with you of Rav Kook comes from a book called Ma'amarei Haraya, which is basically a collection of articles that were published or given to the press by the Rav Kook. But here at Der Nister, there's a quite nice collection of his writings, and I just found this collection, which is a Igrot Haraya, which means it's his letters, letters that he sent to other people, and there's lots of beautiful teachings in here if you would like to come and check it out. So let me read to you some Rav Kook, and which is really beautiful. So he writes this: the difference between a slave and a free man is not just a difference of class. In this case, one is enslaved to another, and the other is not enslaved. We can find an educated slave whose spirit is full of freedom, and conversely, a free man whose spirit is the spirit of a slave. Characteristic freedom is that uplifting spirit by which a person, as well as the people as a whole, is lifted up to be faithful to his inner self, to the mental quality of the image of God within him. And with such quality, he is able to feel his life as a life of purpose that is worth living. Wow. And let me unpack this a little bit. So first of all, according to the Rav Kook, in order to be free, you have to be faithful to your inner self. But it's not that simple, because we are on a lifelong mission to find that inner self, to get into that inner self. And what does the image of God has anything to do with it? So basically what Rav Kook is saying here is that since we're all created by the image of God, we all contain the knowledge of wholeness. We all contain the knowledge of a perfect state. And because of that, we constantly strive to get there. The problem is that we're not always going in the right direction. And when we're going in the wrong direction, to complete ourselves, but further away from who we are, from our inner self, when we go in the wrong direction, when we live and not authentic lives, this is when we are enslaved. So the path to live an authentic life is what would set us free, according to the Rav Kook. And our portion Tetzaveh always read very close to Purim, in proximity to Purim, and it's very fitting, no pun intended, that the portion is talking about clothes. Okay, it really specifies the garments that the high priest should wear. In a tabernacle, it's really, really detailed, and it's always really fits with Purim, because Purim, as we all know, we wear costumes, right? So we always kind of deal with clothes. And to continue the Rav Kook, we don't only wear costumes on Purim. Most of us wear costumes all the time. And we wear costumes all the time because our costumes is what we display as our identity. But sometimes what we think is our identity and what we display is not going in the right direction, is actually going opposite to our inner selves. And what happens is that in this case, our costume ends up trapping us, ends up enslaving us. So in that light, I'd like to suggest that to all of you to take Purim as an opportunity to wear a different costume. A costume that when you put it on, you may pretend to be better. But maybe by pretending to be better, if you go in the right direction, some of it might stick. And how do you know if you go in the right direction? If it feels silly, trust me. So let's hope we all find these directions to our inner selves, that in turn we can all expose some of our eternal flames. So let's go back to the question of Shishcha from the beginning. So what does it mean for someone who pretends to be a rabbi? Let's answer in a Mishnaic fashion. Anyone who is not a rabbi but pretends to be one will not die of an old age before he actually becomes one. Chag Purim Sameach and Shabbat Shalom.